Hello! In this video I'm showing you how to make this seam in a Tunisian crochet project. The seam is right here in the middle. It's not completely invisible, but it's fairly neat. You see, I started the seam here and I ended it on the opposite side. It's rather stretchy and it works well with the Tunisian simple stitch. For you to have a look what it looks like on the opposite side, I turn my project, and here on the back side the seam looks like this, so rather neat on that side as well. You can make a project flat or in the round, it doesn't matter. What is really important is to seam the final rows or rounds of your project. So here you see I finished with a return pass, which explains why the loops are still open. So no single crochet bind off row, whatever technique you use to bind off your project, but I will seam this final row or round together. Normally I use the same yarn as for the rest of the project, and I use approximately twice the length of what I plan to seam. A bit less, but just to be on the safe side. So really important, you don't close the final row, you end with a return pass. So normally I would use the blue yarn, but for this video I'm going to use a white yarn. The contrasting color is there to really show you the details of the seam. So I will place the white yarn in the same position as my blue yarn, so it will be on the side here. Voila. And now I start the seam. So I will insert the needle under the front vertical bar of the final stitch. That's the start. And then I go to the front and I will insert the needle under the front vertical bars of the first and second stitch. So here under the front vertical bar, and then for the next stitch I will twist it. So I insert the needle from the opposite side of the stitch and then I pull yarn. Then I go to the opposite side and into the final stitch here I insert the needle into the back vertical bar and then under the front vertical bar of the next stitch. So in the beginning it's a bit messy, you have to make sure that your yarn is well placed. Then back to the front, I insert the needle under the front vertical bar of the stitch I previously twisted, and then I twist the next stitch, like this. Then on the back, that's the vertical bar, the front vertical bar, and I go under the back vertical bar and then under the front vertical bar of the next stitch, like this. Now it's getting easier. So on the front I go under the vertical bar of the stitch I twisted, and then I twist the next stitch. On the other side I identify the vertical bar here and I go under the back vertical bar and under the front vertical bar for the next stitch. You see it's getting easier now. Again, on the front, the twisted front vertical, and then I twist the next stitch. It's really important to twist the second stitch when you work on the front, and when you are on the opposite side, you first go under the under the back vertical bar here, and then under the front vertical bar. So it will always be like this. Front vertical bar of the twisted stitch. You see? Front vertical bar of the twisted stitch here. And then I twist the next stitch. It's not always easy, you see? And then on the opposite side, don't hesitate to really tilt your work towards you. Under the back vertical bar of the first stitch, and then under the front vertical bar of the next stitch. So it's really important to go under the back vertical bar first. And when you have done a few stitches, a few mattress stitches, you will pull the white yarn gently. Don't pull too hard, otherwise you will break the yarn. But you see, even the white yarn is invisible. So after a few stitches, you get this. So you really pull on the white yarn after a few stitches. So don't do your seam all the way till the end of the row or the round. Pull on the white yarn after a few stitches. It's easier. And you keep doing the same. So you should really have this stitch like this. And you pull. You really have to assess the tension of the white yarn, the tension of your seam. If you pull too much, it's going to be too tight. If you don't pull enough, it's going to be uneven. Voila. And just for you to have a look, on the opposite side, on the back side, the white yarn is almost invisible as well. So that's how you seam final rows of Tunisian crochet projects together. I hope it helps.